from the quarterly magazine. 3-1. Now, Open Network for Digital Commerce, it is being considered as a UPI for e-commerce. It aspires to replace the prevalent platform-centric model with an open network model that relies on non-proprietary protocols. It will allow sellers and buyers to engage in transaction independently and switch among platforms that are compatible with each other. India's first water-based metro, Prime Minister inaugurated the Kochi Water Metro, which is India's first water-based metro. Lithium titanate oxide batteries are used in the boat, which can be charged in 15 minutes. Financial Services Institute Bureau was set up in 2022 under the Department of Financial Services by replacing the earlier Bank Boards Bureau. The FSIB recommends individuals for appointment as whole-time directors and non-executive chairpersons on boards of public sector banks, financial institutions, and public sector insurance companies. Now, Antardrishti, it's a financial inclusion dashboard launched by RBI in 2021. It will provide insights to assess and monitor the progress of financial institutions. The three dimensions are assess, usage, and quality. Now, Dakar Declaration. The declaration aims to implement Global Plan for Road Safety 2021 to 2030. There is also a rally, that is Dakar Rally. Uh, it was adopted by 21 African countries. The target is to preventing at least 50% of the road traffic deaths and injuries by 2030. Now, Center for Processing Accelerated Corporate Exit, that is CPACE. It is a government initiative launched by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Its primary function is to streamline and expedite the process of deregistering companies from MCA register. It aims to simplify and accelerate the process of closing down companies and therefore improving ease of doing business. Harit Sagar are guidelines released to achieve green ports. The guidelines lay emphasis on use of clean and green energy in port operation. The main goal of guidelines is to reduce trash through 4 R's, that is reduce, reuse, repurpose and recycle, in order to achieve zero waste discharge from port operations. Now, Mahir, that is Mission on Advanced and High Impact Research, has been jointly launched by Ministry of Power and Ministry of New and Renewable Energy for the period of 2023 to 2028. It aims to facilitate indigenous research and development of latest and emerging technologies in the power sector and leverage the technology for India's economic growth. Now, edible oil status in India. India imports more than 50%, that is 13 to 14 million tons of its total edible oil consumption, which is approximately 23 to 24 million tons. Various types of oil consumption are now palm is the highest, then comes soybean, then mustard, and then sunflower. More than 90% of the palm oil consumption is met through imports. Now, advanced pricing agreement is a unilateral, bilateral, or multilateral agreement between a taxpayer, that is usually a multinational company, and one or more tax authorities, aiming to predetermine the transfer pricing methodology for international transactions for a set period. Now, letter of comfort serves as a bridge between a lender and a borrower, often a subsidiary seeking financing. It is issued by a stakeholder, typically the parent company, to the lender. The LOC doesn't assure the lender that the loan will be repaid if the borrower's default. It simply acknowledges the stakeholder's awareness and support for the loan request. Red herring prospectus is a document filed with SBI by a company seeking to launch its initial public offering, that is IPO. It acts as a sneak peek at the company's plan and finances. Goldilocks scenario for an economy, it describes an ideal economic state where growth is neither too hot nor too cold, resulting in a stable price, low unemployment, and sustainable progress. Performance tax, also known as entertainment tax, is a levy imposed on income earned by individuals or entities for their performance services. Now, dabba trading refers to informal trading that takes place outside the purview of stock exchange. It is akin to gambling centered around stock price movement. The primary purpose is to stay outside the purview of regulatory mechanisms, and thus transactions are facilitated using cash and mechanism is operated using unrecognized software terminals. Dabba trading leads to tax evasion. It is an offense under Section 23, Clause 1 of the Securities Contracts Regulation Act SCRA of 1956. Now, angel tax before 2023 finance bill, angel tax regulations applied exclusively to investments received from resident investors. However, the finance bill of 2023 has expanded its scope to include non resident investors. The angel tax was introduced in 2012 to curb tax evasion. The angel tax is a provision in Indian Income Tax Act and that taxes the difference between the amount of money a startup raises from an investor and the fair market value of the company. In simpler terms, if an investor pays more for the shares in a startup than the government thinks the company is worth, the startup has to pay taxes on the difference. Now, National Bank for Financing Infrastructure and Development, that is NBFID, was set up under the National Bank for Financing Infrastructure and Development Act 2021 as the principal development financial institution for infrastructure financing. It will be a corporate body with an authorized share capital of 1 lakh crore. Initially, the central government will own 100% of the shares of these institutions. This share may subsequently be reduced up to 26%. Now, laundromat countries, countries that are buying Russian oil and selling processed products to European countries, thus stepping aside European sanctions against Russia. These countries are India, China, Turkey, the UAE, and Singapore, have been labeled as the same. Now, digital twin, it's a three-dimensional virtual representation of an object or system that delivers real-time insights into the performance or operations of physical objects or system. Cities and urban centers can be modeled through digital twin technology. De-dollarization of trade refers to the process of reducing dependence on US dollars for settlement of trade, international transaction, or other financial operations, etc. This can be achieved by using alternative currencies like euro, pound, yen, or bilateral currency arrangements like ren, rupee, ruble for trade settlement. Now, predatory pricing refers to the price practice of keeping the sale price of a goods or services so low by a firm that it becomes difficult for other firms to compete and eventually forces them to exit the market. Predatory pricing forces existing firms to exit the market and prevents entry of new firms. Section 4 of the Competitions Act of 2002 prohibits enterprises from abusing dominant position. Now, Udhampur Barmula rail line. The Jammu Udhampur rail line was started in 1983 and completed in 2004. 20 major tunnels and 158 bridges. The line was later extended to Srinagar and then to Baramulla. The project faced several challenges like construction of bridges and tunnels in geologically unstable Pir Panjal range, in seismically active zone 4-5, heavy snow in winters, etc. The rail link will bring down the travel time between Srinagar and Jammu and a reliable all-weather alternative to the Jammu-Srinagar National Highway, which is frequently shut down by landslides. It will improve economic activities between Jammu and Kashmir Valley. So we have Udhampur at one end and Baramulla at the other end. Then we have Kazingud Baramulla. Then we have Banial Kazingud. Then we have Chenab Bridge, Anij Ghat Bridge, Udhampur Katra, which was commissioned in 2014. Now it is the highest railway bridge in the world, first cable stayed bridge of Indian Railways on Anij Ghat in Risai district. It is also the longest transport tunnel in India with 12.75 kilometers long in Ramban district. 38 tunnels with combined length of 119 kilometers 927 bridges with a combined length of 13 kilometers. Now, Chenab Bridge is world's highest railway bridge and is part of the Udhampur Srinagar Baramulla Rail Link project. The bridge is being constructed over the Chenab River. It is 1,315 meters long at a height of 359 meters over the riverbed level. The bridge has been designed to withstand wind speeds up to 266 kilometers per hour and bear earthquake forces of highest intensity of zone 5. So here's the bridge. Now moving on to some long and detailed section of this video. Now, foreign trade policy of 2023. The government has released the foreign trade policy of 2023. Salient features of the new foreign trade policy. The foreign trade policy is notified by the Union government under Section 5 of the Foreign Trade Act of 1992. The 2023 policy is based on four pillars, that is, incentive to remissions, export promotion through collaboration, exporters, state, district, and Indian missions, ease of doing business, that is, reduction in the cost, transaction cost, and initiatives, emerging areas like e commerce, developing districts as export hubs, streamlining SCOMET, that is, special chemicals, organic organisms, materials, equipments, and technology policies. Now, trade openness is measured as the sum of a country's exports and imports as a share of the country's total GDP. According to World Bank, India's trade openness in 2021 was 45%, up from up from 10% in 1960s. The highest ratio was achieved in 2012 at 56%. Now, towns of export excellence, four new towns, that is Faridabad, Mirzapur, Muradabad, and Varanasi, have been designated as towns of export excellence in addition to the existing 39 towns. Promoting exports from districts, the FTP aims at building partnerships with state governments and taking forward the districts at export hub initiative. Now, trend of India's foreign trade, the total merchandise trade, that is export and import, increased from $810 billion in 2011-12 to $1.05 trillion in 2021-22. The total service trade has risen from $220 billion in 11-12 to $401.5 billion in 21-22. Now, India has run a persistent merchandise trade deficit since 1991 and a persistent service trade surplus since 1991. Barring 1995-96, where there was the highest trade surplus was achieved in 2021-22 at $107 billion trade surplus. We have usually seen India's share in global merchandise and service trade is 1.8% for merchandise and 4% for services. Now, National Electricity Plan of 2002 to 2027, the Electricity Act of 2003 stipulates the Central Electricity Authority to prepare a national electricity plan in accordance with the National Electricity Policy once in 5 years. The earlier plans were notified in 2007, 2013, and 2018. The national plan includes perspective plan for the next 5 years as well. That is example, the fourth plan, that is 22-27, has a perspective plan for 27-32 as well. Now, electricity mix in India. Wind and solar and renewable energy accounts for 30.1%, nuclear accounts for 1.6%, big hydro projects account for 11.3%, and coal still accounts for 49.3%. Now, the breakup of renewable energy, solar accounts for 16.1%, wind accounts for 10.2%, cogeneration sets account for 2.5%, and small hydropower plants 1.2%. Now, key highlights of the National Electricity Plan of 2022-27. Coal energy thrust. The plan cites the need for fresh, that is, new coal based capacity ranging from 17 gigawatts to 28 gigawatts till 31-32. The plan has projected an increase in plant load factor, that is, efficiency of coal fired plants from 55% in 2026-27 to 62% in 2031-32. Contribution of renewable energy to total energy surplus expected to be around 35% by 2026-27 and a contribution and around 44% by 31-32. Now, reserve currency. The Ukraine war and the subsequent sanctions on Russia has held the debate for the role of US dollar as reserve currency. Reserve currency is a strong currency widely used in international trade that a central bank is prepared to hold as a part of its foreign exchange reserves. Now, share of currencies in globally disclosed official foreign reserves. US forms the highest percentage, 58.4%, Euro at 20.5%, Pound at 5%, and Yen at 5.5%. So it's like US dollar, then Euro, then Yen, then Pound, then Yuan, and rest 8%. Now, characteristics of reserve currency is that free flow, that is, it should not be subject to any restrictive control by the country that issues it. It should be widely available, and the reserve currency should be liquid, that is, it should be readily acceptable. Now, Competition Amendment Act of 2023. President has given approval to the Competition Amendment Bill of 2023. The bill amends the Competition Act of 2002. Now, the Act extends Competition Commission of India's regulatory reach to transactions valued more than 2000 crore rupees, even if they do not meet the conventional criteria for merger regulation based on assets and sales. It introduces a leniency plus scheme to entities facing cartel investigation to disclose information about other cartels. It proposes to expedite CCI's clearance of mergers and acquisitions to within 150 days, down from the maximum of 210 days now. Now, Coastal Aquaculture Authority Amendment Bill of 2023. Coastal Aquaculture Authority Bill 2023 has been introduced by the Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying. Now, about the Coastal Aquaculture Authority, it is a statutory body set up under the Coastal Aquaculture Authority Act of 2005. It functions under the Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying. Now, India's fishery sector overall grandstanding. Overall fish production, we rank third. Inland fisheries, we rank first. Aquaculture production, we rank second. And fisheries export, we rank fourth. सब खुद ही खा जाते हैं. Now, NanoDAP. NanoDAP is a liquid fertilizer product that contains nanoparticles of diammonium phosphate, that is DAP. It is the second such variant of fertilizer. Nano urea was the first one in the series. It is released by IFCO. NanoDAP is a source of nitrogen and phosphorus. Both are key primary nutrients essential for growth of crops. The estimated total annual consumption of DAP is 10 to 12.5 million tons, and for to 5 million tons, that is 40%, are produced locally. 60% we are export dependent. Now, direct seeding of rice, that is DSR, it is considered as a better option than conventional plantation as it cut down the massive water consumption of paddy. Difference between direct seeding of rice and conventional transplanting. In DRS, paddy here is directly sown in the field without any nursery preparation, puddling or flooding. In transplantation, the flooded fields basically deny oxygen to the weed seeds in the soil, preventing their germination. Water thus acts as a natural herbicide. In DRS, water is replaced with chemical herbicides. Now, advantages of DSR: no significant reduction of yield under optimal conditions, saving on irrigations up to 12 to 35% under efficient water management practices. Now, it also reduces labor by eliminating seedling, uprooting, and transplantation, and it reduces the cultivation time, energy, and cost. There is faster maturation of crops and lower greenhouse gas emission, and it increases the total income by reducing the cost of cultivation from labor, water, and etc. Now, current constraints related to DSR: seed exports to birds and pests, weed management. So, these are the constraints. Seeds may be exposed to birds and pests. There is weed management, which is why chemical herbicides. Then there is higher risk of lodging and risk of poor or non-uniform crop establishment. Now transitioning away from London interbank offered rate, that is LIBOR, RBI on May 12th said that some banks haven't completely stopped using LIBOR. Now, Financial Benchmark India Limited develop and administers benchmarks relating to money market, government securities, and foreign exchange in India. It was formed in 2014 as a private limited company under Companies Act of 2013. It is jointly owned by Fixed Income Money Market and Derivatives Association of India, Foreign Exchange Dealers Association of India, and Indian Banks Association. Now, LIBOR is a global benchmark interest rate. It combines individual rates collected from banks at which they may borrow from each other for a particular period of time at the London interbank market. Now, alternatives to LIBOR, there is secured overnight financing rate, which is announced in 2017 by US. India also announced the use of SOFR, that is US's benchmark, and the modified Mumbai interbank and forward outright rate, that is MMIFOR instead of MIFOR for all new transactions. Now, liberalized remittance scheme. The Union Government of India has amended the rules under Foreign Exchange Management Act (FEMA) but to bring international credit card spending outside India under liberalized remittance scheme. Now, liberalized remittance scheme was introduced in 2004 by RBI with a limit of 25,000 US dollars. The limit was increased to 2,50,000 out of India in a financial year without prior approval from RBI. Now, about the changes related to the usage of credit card. Credit card spending outside India has been brought under the ambit of LSR. Bringing credit card transactions under LSR enables the levy of a tax collection at source, that is TCS. The Union Budget of 2023-24 has hacked the TCS rate from 5% to 20% on overseas tour packages, investment in bonds and stocks and real estates, gifts to non-residents, etc., and international spends on credit card or debit card. So these are all attracting 20%, whereas medical treatment attracts 5% of TCS, education 0.5%, and for education remitting from own fund 5%. 0.5% is from loan, education loan. Overseas tours package and funds remitted under LSR other than. Now, payment up to 7 lakh per financial year will be excluded from LSR and will not attract TCS. So, for purchase of overseas tour package, there is no threshold. Investment in bond, there is no threshold. For every other purpose, that is medical treatment, international spending, education, and loan education, we have 7 lakh of threshold. That is, TCS will not be deducted. Now, surplus transfers by RBI. RBI transferred 87,416 crore as surplus to Union Government of India for 2022-23, which is an increase of 188% from 2021-22 surplus transfer of 30,307 crore. Now, RBI transfers its surplus profits to the government every year according to the provisions of Section 47 of the RBI Act of 1934. The income of RBI is non-taxable. Now, Bimal Janal Committee recommended a contingency risk buffer of 5.5% of its balance sheet for RBI. Now, world's largest grain storage plan in cooperative sector. The government has approved the constitution of an interministerial committee that is Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare, Ministry of Food Processing, and Ministry of Consumer Affairs for the facilitation of world's largest grain storage plan in cooperative sector. Now, the scale of the plan will storage will be to store one for to increase our storage capacity from 145 million metric tons to 215 million metric tons. There is also provision for decentralization, that is every block with a capacity of 500 to 2000 tons. Now there are more than 1 lakh PACS with 13 crore farmers. Interministerial committee will oversee the plan, ensuring seamless coordination between various developed government bodies. The plan seeks to create climate resilient storage facilities. Now, financial commitment, the government will commit more than 1 lakh crore rupees for the project. Now, Mahila Samman Savings Certificates. Official notification has been released by Finance Ministry regarding Mahila Samman Savings Certificates announced in the budget of 2023-24. The key features of this scheme is that it's a one-time small savings scheme for women. The scheme will be made available for a 2-year period up to March 2025. It will have a fixed interest rate of 7.5% quarterly compounding for 2 years. The deposit can be made in the name of a woman or a girl child. The maximum deposit amount have been kept at 2 lakh rupees, and the scheme will have partial withdrawal facility of up to 40% after 1 year of opening the account. Now, bond yield price relationship. Bond is a fixed income investment instrument where an investor lends money to an entity, typically a government or corporation, for a specified period of time at a predetermined interest rate or a coupon rate. Now, bond yield represents the annual return on investment as a percentage of bond's current market price. If the bond's face value is rupees 1000 and it offers a fixed annual interest payment, that is coupon, the bond may be traded above or below its face value in the market. When the bond's market price is below its face value, the yield is higher than the coupon rate. This is because the investor is paying less for the same fixed interest payment, resulting in a higher percentage return. Now, relationship. So, there is an inverse relationship between a bond's price and its yield. This means when the price goes up, the bond yields goes down, and vice versa. Now, markets in crypto assets, MiCA regulations. The European Parliament has approved the markets in crypto assets, MiCA regulations. These are world's first comprehensive rules to bring cryptocurrency markets under regulation. MiCA aims to protect investors and ensure financial stability while allowing for innovations in the crypto asset sector. MiCA regulations do not cover digital assets that qualify as transferable securities and non fungible tokens, that is NFTs. Now, Digital Service Act is a first of its kind regulatory toolbox globally and sets a benchmark for regulatory approach to online intermediaries adopted by European Union. Now, direct tax collection, net direct tax collection witnessed a remarkable growth from of 112 21.18%, 121% from FY 13-14 to FY 21. The direct tax to GDP ratio has increased from 5.6% in the same year to 5.9% presently. So it's 5.97% right now. Now, developing country status. The US takes a stand against designating China as a developing nation. The new US legislation reflects upon US opposition to granting China a developing country status in future international agreements and organization. Neither the WTO nor UN formally defines developed and developing countries. Instead, nations themselves self-declare this status. As a developing country, China enjoys the following advantages: favorable trade agreement terms, that is, easier market access, lower tariffs, and access to loans and technical assistance. Gradual implementation of obligations, that is, more time to adapt to WTO rules. Special benefits like participation in programs, example, US Generalized System of Preferences, GSP, etc. Now, India seeks energy security. Engineering India, a government consultancy, is exploring the feasibility of developing salt craven based strategic oil reserves in Rajasthan. The state boasts the largest salt formations in India, making it ideal for creating caverns, that is, natural cavities formed by dissolving salt deposits. Compared to caverns requiring excavation, salt caverns offers simpler and faster development. Solution mining, that is injecting water to dissolve salt, is quicker and cheaper than excavation. Lower cost, that is no need for extensive construction work. Surface operation, now most of the activities are carried out from the surface, minimizing environmental impact. Now, current SPR status, India's existing SPR facilities managed by Indian Strategic Petroleum Reserve Limited, ISPRL, holds 5.33 million metric tons of oil, meeting only 9.5 days of demand. The International Energy Agency, IEA, recommends 90 days of import protection. India's strategic reserves are located in Mangalore, Paddur, and Vishakhapatnam. Now, pet coke. Indian Directorate General of Foreign Trade has allowed the import of needle pet coke with low sulfur content specifically for making lithium ion battery material. India is world's biggest pet coke consumer, which meets half of its demand through imports. In 2018, it banned the import for fuel use due to environmental concerns. However, high quality NPC is crucial for producing graphite anode material, which is vital for lithium ion batteries. The imported NPC can only be used for battery production and not for any other purposes like fuel. Now, about pet coke, it is a carbon rich byproduct of oil refining available in various grades and types. Traditionally used as an industrial fuels, but it has also got application in electrodes, synthetic graphites, pigments, and silicon carbide, which is an abrasive. Now, WTO rules on Indian duties on electronics import. WTO dispute settlement panel has found India's tariffs on certain electronics products like mobile phones inconsistent with India's WTO obligations and global norms. Now, India has imposed import duties on electronic items aimed at discouraging Chinese imports and promoting domestic electronic manufacturing. The HSN system and transposition. The World Customs Organization classification system catalogs, that is lists traded products with specific names and numbers. This is known as HSN, harmonized system of nomenclature. Due to continuous emergence of new products owing to technological innovations, the HSN number is regularly updated to reflect new products. This is known as transposition, that is regular updating. Now, the European Union, China, Japan, Thailand, Singapore, and the US have objected to duties on communication components like microphones and transmission apparatus. Provisions of WTO regarding imposition of tariffs. WTO member countries are under a legal obligation not to impose tariff rates more than the maximum tariff rates committed in their goods schedule. Now, goods schedules are based on World Custom Organization's classification system. India is a signatory to Information Technology Agreement, which requires it to eliminate tariffs on a range of tech products. India argued that at a time of signing of ITA, products such as smartphones did not exist. Hence, India is not bound to eliminate tariffs on such items. Now, Logistical Performance Index of 2023, it's by World Bank, and India ranked 38, and it has 6 dimensions, which are custom performance, infrastructure quality, ease of arranging shipment, logistics service quality, consignment tracking and tracing, and timeliness of shipment. Business Environment Ranking by Economist Intelligence Unit, India ranked 10th, Singapore topped it. Report on Currency and Finance for 2022-23, Reserve Bank of India. Theme was towards a greener and cleaner India. India's net zero target would require a reduction in energy intensity of GDP by around 5% annually, and improvement in its energy mix in favor of renewables to around 80% by 2070-71. Future Jobs Report by World Economic Forum. Its studies how jobs and skill will evolve over a period of 2023 to 27. Now, Global Livability Index of 2023, it is by again by Economists Intelligence Unit. There are five parameters like stability, healthcare, culture, environment, education, and infrastructure. Rank one was Vienna and Austria, and Delhi and Mumbai tied for 114th place. Global Economic Prospects Report by World Bank. Global Competitiveness Index by International Institute for Management Development. Denmark topped, India was ranked at 40th place. This is much like ease of doing business. World Happiness Report of 2023, UN Sustainable Development Solution Network. The parameters here are it measures happiness based on GDP per capita, social support, expectancy, freedom to make life choices, generosity, and perception of corruption. That is six parameters. Now, Finland is the happiest country. India has been ranked 126 out of 137 countries. That'll be all for this video. Thank you.